Hey scholars, welcome to 2.6, more practice with factoring. Students will be able to master factoring quadratic equations. By the end of this unit, you will all be a master at factoring quadratic equations. So it's going to be a brief, very short video. We're going to work 3 examples and then I'm going to give you problems so that you can practice on your own, okay? So the first example, we're just going to be factoring quadratic. And again, it's already in standard form. So my A is 1, my B is negative 15, and my C is 56. A times C again at the top, which is 56, and my B at the bottom is negative 15. Two numbers, when I multiply it, I get 56, but when I add those numbers, I get negative 15. Those two numbers are negative 8 and negative 7. Negative 8 times negative 7 is a positive 56. Negative 8 plus negative 7 is a negative 15. And then my factored form, because A is 1, all I'm going to do is x minus 8 and x minus 7. For example number 2, this is where we factor first by finding the GCF. So what I'm going to do is break each of these terms down to see what they have in common. 21x is 3 times 7 times x, and 36 I know is 3 times 2 times 3 times 2. Okay, so now I'm going to look for what they have in common. They all have an a 3 in common. So I'm going to take that 3 out, and what's left with x squared plus 7x plus 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, remember these signs as well are coming from here. Now that I have this, let's see, my A is 1, my B is 7, my C is 12. So I know 8 times C goes at the top, which in this case is 12, and 7 at the bottom. So two numbers, when I multiply it, I get 12, but when I add those numbers, I get 7. Those numbers are 4 times 3. Perfect. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 plus 3 is 7. Good. So now that you have this, it's actually pretty simple to example 1. What I'm going to do now is the 3 that I factored out earlier, finding the GCF, I'm going to keep this here. My A is 1, so all I'm going to do is x plus 4 and x plus 3, and that's my factored form. Now our last question for today that I'm going to review with you is factor completely 24x squared plus 22x minus 10. So I'm going to take every term and break this down, 22x and 10. So if you don't know how to do this, let's real quick. 24, break this down. 2 times 12, I know 2 is prime, and 12 is 2 times 6, broken down. 6 is going to be broken down as 3 times 2. So I can actually write 24 as 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, and then x squared is x times x. If I was to break 22x down, that will be 2 times 11 times x, and then of course 10 is 2 times 5. Now looking at this, they all have a 2 in common, okay? So what we're going to do is take that 2 out. What's left? All of this is left over. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12x squared plus 11x minus 5. So that's what's left over. That's what I'm going to use now to factor what's my A, what's my B. My A is 12, my B is 11, and then my C is negative 5. So on the top is 8 times C, which is negative 60, and then at the bottom it is 11. So I'm looking for two numbers. When I multiply it, I get negative 60, and when I add it, I get positive 11. So those two numbers are 15 and negative 4. 15 times negative 4 is a negative 60. 15 plus negative 4 is 11. Now, because a is greater than 1, I'm going to keep this 2 outside. And then I'm going to replace my b term. So replacing my b term is 12x squared plus 15x minus 4x minus 5. Then once I do this, I am going to take the first two terms and factor. Look for what they have in common. They have a 3x in common, so that's left me with 4x plus 5. Here now I have a minus 1. They have nothing in common, so I'm left with 4x plus 5. And remember, the 2 that's outside, this 2 right here that we found from there, I keep that in the front. Remember, these two are always going to be equal, so I write it back at one time. And then what's outside here, the 3x and the minus 1, I just give them their own parentheses. And that's factored completely. So we reviewed when a is 1, what do? We reviewed how do I factor finding a GCF, and then my a is 1. And then the last one, which is a little bit more complicated, is I find my GCF, and this is when a is not equal to 1. What I do, I replace the middle term. So I would replace my 11 with the 15x minus 4x, which I found from there. All right, told you this is one of our shortest video. Now work on those practice problems and see me when you're ready for your quiz. Good luck, guys.